Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Tuesday, the 27th of January. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. Alright, today we'll start to have a look at Apple that reached its potential target after this shoulder, head, shoulder, top and reversal pattern at 244, more or less bank made on it. And then it has bounced strongly, especially yesterday, 3% jump, and it could jump further towards 260, possibly up to 265, where we have some strong resistance again. We will have the 55 moving average coming down. We have the cloud resistance there. We also have the 100 moving average that will give it a little bit of a hard time. But I could see that it could jump a little bit further here the next few days. However, if it takes out 244, 243, these lows here, well, then there is downside back in session or back in this scenario. Meta also jumped really strongly here the past few days, last week and yesterday, and it's back above the cloud. It is RSI back above the 60 threshold, as we can see here, 60 spot 39. And that indicates we could see higher levels on Meta in the coming weeks. We have a little bit of resistance here around 681. If it moves back above that, then it's starting to close this gap here up towards this gap area here where it's sold off or gap lower here in October. So really something to look out for maybe, or will it slide back again? That would be key here the next few days. However, if we are looking at the overall index and the Nasdaq 100, it is back up where very close to the key resistance here, just around 25,835. There's a little spike up there at 873. So in this region here, if it's back above there and closes back above, and if RSI closes back above 60 threshold, then we have established a bullish trend. The pre-market, we can see we are currently trading around these levels there, 25,874. They are the CFD, and on the future, it is currently trading around 26,000. So it's about to break above this falling trend line and flirting with the peak there just above 26,045. So it seems like that's where we are heading, to establish a bullish trend on Nasdaq. Let's see if it will materialize in the next few days or the next 24 hours. Let's see if RSI can close back above 60 threshold and establish and confirm a bullish trend. S&P 500 has been in positive sentiment for the past few weeks, but after this correction here, it has now bounced, and if it can get back above these peaks here, just below 7,000, well, then there could be further upside for the S&P 500 towards 7,100, 7,200 up in this region here, going into February month. Looking at the future, we can see how it's continuing to bounce today. It broke out of this rising wedge-like pattern. Now it's starting to move back into the lower rising trend line, and thereby canceling this breakout there. It didn't really get far, only to the 38.2 retracement of this uptrend there. So it could be a sign of strength. So keep an eye on this for the next few days. The Dow Jones future also bounced a little bit, but basically sideways here. And the Russell 2000 small caps, a little bit weaker again yesterday. It has this top and reversal pattern in place, but let's see if it will follow through. 261 here on the iShares Russell 2000 ETF that illustrates the index that could come under pressure, but let's see if it will break it. The Asian market, we have a test again of the resistance there at 27,190 resistance key. RSI back above 60 threshold. I think we will see a break higher, and we could see a move towards 28,000 here in the coming weeks. Still bullish trend, positive sentiment, indicating likely higher levels. The Nikkei bounced off the lower rising trend line. I also think we'll see higher levels here, despite the fact that we have the strength indicator declining, meaning it's a little bit exhaustion mode going on here. But let's see, I think we will crawl higher in the coming weeks despite this. Especially if we get the RSI back above 60 threshold, I think we will see a push above the 55,000. In Europe, the EUROStoxx50 had a fairly calm day yesterday, flirting with the 61.8 retracement there at 5,965 of this corrective move here, where it bounced off a key support just above 5,800. If it can take out the peak here from a couple of days ago, 5,980, then I think we'll see a push higher, and also a new high is in the cards. Let's see if it can materialize. Pre-market here, as we can see, it is crawling slowly higher, about 0.25%. So it seems like that's where we're headed. Positive sentiment, currently no significant divergence, where RSI back above 60 threshold, indicating likely higher levels. DAX is struggling a little bit here, around the 50% retracement of this sell-off there, or this correction. I think we also see that crawling higher, about 0.25% indicated higher here. And if RSI can get back above 60 threshold, then I think we will see it pushing higher towards the previous peaks. In the FX markets, another bullish day for a euro dollar, reached the 138.2 projection here, just around 119, getting very close to these peaks here. Just above 119 in the bigger picture. Yes, we have established a bullish trend after breaking this triangle-like pattern, and that indicates higher level for euro dollar. We could see a little bit of a setback here, maybe down to 118 possibly. But the breakout has occurred, and moving averages are rising, both of them. 55 broken above 100, they're both rising, indicating underlying bullish trend on medium term also. Sterling dollar flirting with these peaks here, back from September last year, around 137. Could see a little bit of a setback maybe. And this is what you can do if you say, all right, will we have a little bit of a setback, maybe down to 38.2 at 135.57. But I will not trade on it at the moment. I will see what's going on. Look at the 1 hour chart and see what's going on there, because the underlying trend is bullish. We have the 200 moving average coming up. We have the 55 coming up, now breaking above the 100 moving average, and they're both rising. So that indicates a strong underlying medium-term trend that is likely to push sterling dollar higher. The euro sterling, well, it's still caught in this just above 86.5, 86.40, which is key support area, and the 200 moving average. However, I do believe we will see it pushing lower towards 86. I think it's just a question of time, but let's see about that. Still, this falling trend line is acting as a resistance, and especially around these levels here. We just saw it spiking out there, 55, pushing it lower. So it's boxed in here between those two levels there. Yen pairs that has been really on the move lately, a little bit calmer. Wins for the moment, at least. We had yesterday spiked below the 100 moving average, and just spiked below the lower part of the cloud. RSI is in negative sentiment, but we could now see it bouncing. And what I will do, and just to show you, I will take this one and say this energy there. Well, we could bounce up to the 38.2 retracement around 155.55, where we could see some resistance, but also up to this level here, the upper part of the cloud, and the 55 moving average virtually being flat here at just below 157, 156.90, where that could be a stronger resistance. Could it stay back above if it moves up there and stay above the cloud area? Then it could bounce further. But if it's just spiking up and setting back, then it could be caught in this range here. The Euro Yen spiked lower yesterday, but stayed above 182.58 support area, 152.50, and the 50-5 moving average, and above the cloud, still in the positive sentiment. But as we have seen here, we do have this declining strength indicator indicating uptrend exhaustion. But the euro is also on the move, so it is pushing the other way. We're still above the cloud, still above 55 moving average. I think, however, if it takes out the lows from yesterday at 181.75, well, then we could see a sell-off down to around 180, where we have the 100 moving average coming up. Aussie yen corrected down to a few pips from the 786 retracement, just still above the rising trend line there, and now bouncing, and could bounce further here the next few days. And if you're a very short-term trader again, well, then I would do this and say, all right, where can it bounce to? First step is, of course, a 38.2 at 107.19, then 107.53, and especially 107.88. And if it starts getting up here towards the 786 retracement at 108.37, then I think we will push even higher in the coming weeks. Sterling yen, also a bit of volatility, spiking just below the little support there, just below 210, and then bounced. So it is still technically in an uptrend. It hasn't changed that. But as we can also see here, the RSI, the strength indicator, declining. So we are a little bit of a limbo here in exhaustion mode. So let's see what happens. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we could see a push down to around 207.5, 207. Aussie dollar stays up in elevated level there, and I think it will continue higher. Let's have a look at the weekly. We are very close to this. Is what we tested yesterday, the 69.45 peak here, just below that. I think we could see a little bit of a setback, maybe to 68.50, 68.20, possibly. But the bullish trend is definitely there. Also on the medium term, and strong RSI indicator that indicate that we will push higher. But again, we could see a little bit of a setback. We are a little bit stressed on the RSI, but there's no divergence. It is indicating higher levels on Aussie dollar. We can also see all the moving averages are now, apart from the 200 there, that is declining. They're turning around to 55 there, and give it a couple of weeks, then it's also broken above the 100 moving average. And here they are all rising. Underlying trends, short term and medium term, are bullish. On the dollar Canada, bouncing a little bit, which is not a surprise really. We talked about it yesterday. Was mostly likely to do it. It did move further below the 786 retracement there, and now bouncing. I think we could see it bouncing up to around the 38.2 retracement there at 137.70, and then I think we'll see a downtrend resuming. We have all moving averages basically coming down there, especially the 55 really pushing down there. Negative sentiment indicating lower levels, and I think we will see that the scenario playing out here the next few weeks going into February. A bounce and then a downtrend. However, if it suddenly turns around already now, which it could do, and takes out the lows there, then expect a push lower towards 135.70 and possibly 135.25. Sterling Canada. Let's just resize this a little bit. We can see it is flirting with the 786 retracement of this sell-off there at 187.87, and it is also just around where we have the 138.2 projection of this correction move there, just below the 188. However, we are in a bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels, and we can see here also on the weekly it has turned around. It bounced from the 55 moving average on the weekly. RSI currently back above 60 threshold. If it can stay up there for the next towards the end of the week, then there is potential for sterling Canada much higher, and also challenging these peaks here just around 189 fairly soon. The Swiss franc also a bit of a bounce there, but as we can see here on the weekly, we are in a bearish trend. Has flirted with the lows here from when was that? That was back in November. I think it will push lower. You can see here on the daily bounce, and that's why I've added Fibonacci to this one. Say maybe we could bounce up to around 92.5. If it takes out the lows here, really strong support here, just around 91.80, 91.75, then we will see it lower towards a 91 flat, possibly even lower maybe. Let's see about that, but strong push support there, bouncing, but you will see the moving average declining. We could see it bounce all the way up to 92, 80, 60, 61, 8 retracement. It is not unlikely. If it really gets its mojo back here, but keep an eye on, could be rejected right there. The dollar Swiss cross there below its support, reached 138.2 projection of this move there, and then bouncing, could bounce back up to around 78.25. The resistance, it's now resistance in this area here, but the trend is bearish, and I think it will pick up a little bit later after a correction. It's just a question of how big the correction is. We can see here massive move, downtrend, and maybe a slightly exhaustion mode, but the jury is still out on this. So I would say keep an eye on what's happening here the next few days. Will it spike lower, or will it correct? I think we will see a correction, but if it takes out the lows there, then expect to push lower towards a 76.50. Dollar index trading around the support area here around 96, 96, 80, 96, 70. I think we will still see it lower, but we could also bounce a little bit back here towards 97.50. But moving averages, all of them declining. We're going to see that the 55 coming down here. Give it a couple of days, maybe towards the end of the week, early next week, it will have crossed below the 200 and the 100 moving average that are both declining here, and that will further add to the bearish picture on the dollar index. And we can see here also on the weekly, we are in a bearish trend. A lot of volatility in the metals market. We saw it yesterday that we thought, okay, maybe we should have a little bit of a peak in place and then a correction, but it seems like it's picking up again, and I still do believe we will see it higher. I think we will see it. Well, what's the target? Well, we have something around 5,178.80, but I think we could actually see gold pushing even higher if it takes out the flat line there on the daily RSI at 87.36, which I believe it could. Then it cancel this exhaustion picture and could push even higher. 5,400 I have written here on my little note. It is not a buy recommendation. You have to be really careful with these levels here. We don't have a natural stop, so there is potential higher. We can also see on the weekly RSI breaking its falling trend line, also an indication we are likely to push higher on the gold prices. Silver, massive volatility, got hit by sell-off suddenly yesterday during the session, and maybe it could be fun to look at the intraday chart here, the 1 hour. See, it took 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, and then it just smashed it down there, and then strong bounce again. And we can see also on the daily, on the 1 hour chart, RSI bounced off the 40 threshold there, and it's now flirting with the 60 threshold. And if I do this and add a Fibonacci to it, there we are. So first it bounced up to around 50%. Now it's surpassed 61.8 retracement, and is pushing towards the 786 retracement, just around 114.40, and I think it will take it out. And if it does, then RSI will be back above 60 threshold, very close to here the past hour or so. We could see it pushing higher, and I think we will see silver pushing higher towards 125. So it's way above my original target, which was 104, which we reached here on it yesterday. So really something to look out for. But if it takes out the lows here at 102, well, then we could be in for a very rough sell-off once again. Maybe we should jump back to have a look at intraday on gold and see what happened there. Basically a little bit the same, but not as fierce. But you can see the sell-off there. If it takes out the 5,000, just below 5,000, 49.90, 49.89, well, then we could be hit by another sell-off. But you can also add a Fibonacci to this one here and say, all right, we had a sell-off there. What is the energy we could push higher with? Well, it is currently trading at 786 retracement, could push towards a 5,200 area. Moving on to platinum, that has seen more or less similar picture. Massive sell-off after spiking higher yesterday, and then strong bounce again, and then it indicates, well, 3,000 is still inside and could be taking out. Massive divergence on the RSI, however, so be careful. It is in a trend exhaustion, but for now, and as long as it stays above this level here around 22, it is still in a bullish trend. Copper struggling to follow through the other ones, but I think if it takes out the spike up from yesterday, and especially if RSI can get back above 60 threshold, above the falling trend line, then I think we'll see higher levels on copper as well. On the energy market, crude oil basically trading sideways between 58 and 62.50. So that's the range here for the WTI crude oil. Brent crude oil was very close to overnight. The key resistance there, 66.82. In this area where we have strong resistance, if it moves back up that, well, then we're looking at $70. Nat gas, that is lethal to or dangerous to trade here. Massive volatility with the cold continuing both in Europe and North America. So it spiked above the key resistance there. Just a little bit, see just around 43 euros here on the EU nat gas. We could see maybe a setback. It depends what the further forecast will be and what the storage is. So it's just in case that it will do that. I have a little bit of a correction going on after failing to stay above 43 euros. Maybe a setback down to around 37.50. This is not much given the volatility we are facing or we have going on at the moment in nat gas. US nat gas spiked to almost 750 to 176.4 projection of this correction move there, and on the weekly we see we have to now go fairly far back to see levels like this. We are back to basically windows 2 years ago, where it was apparently also very cold in the northern hemisphere. I was in the southern US and Bahamas back then, and we could feel the cold almost down to Florida there. So it is maybe more or less the same picture that's playing out. Really cold weather in Northern America, pushing gas prices higher. On the interest rates and US Treasury yield bouncing from the 420 area, see here just dipped a little bit below, but it's not unusual to do that after breaking a key resistance, that it spikes up and then falls back and then it will take off again. I think it will do that. Positive sentiment on the RSI indicating just that, but we could trade a little bit sideways there for the next few days. On the European yields, well, we have the EU10 in this area around 288, just below 290. 292 is key resistance. The UK key resistance 454. The Japanese 10 bouncing now, still in a bullish trend and could push towards 240, 245, 250 maybe even. Key support on Bitcoin at 84,400 and Ethereum at 2,600. All right, that's a long one today. Have a nice day and talk to you again tomorrow.